Hi, Carol here, and a warm welcome to my craft room this evening. I thought I would take you through an acetate card, the way I enjoy doing them. And I wanted to do a double sentiment acetate card, so I'm running through this beautiful blue mink paper through my mink. And these are the sheets that I take to the stationery store, and I get them to run it through the laser printer. And then I have, about 50 sheets I keep on hand. And then when I want to do some die cutting, I just run the colors that I want to use through the mink, and then I have them handy. I ran this beautiful blue colored foil through, and it's a Heidi Swapp foil. I really like her foil. And then I ran a red one through for another card that I'll do it another time. I figured if I had the mink hot, I would just take it and run them both through at the same time. Isn't that pretty, that royal blue? I think it's just beautiful. And here's the quick view of the red and how easy it is to put in the protector shield and then just kind of wipe it to get any wrinkles out and run it through the machine. And now I'll be able to do another card using the foil. I'd like to do a few Christmas cards up for you this week, and I really love the look of foil. Now I'm just going to turn it off and let it cool down, and then I'll put it away. So one thing I wanted to show you is there are all types of acetate. I have this really light acetate I like to use for certain projects where I don't need to have it to be so firm, and I can, because sometimes that's all the acetate you can get a hold of in stores or ordering, and it's a lightweight. And then there's this medium weight, and I like this medium weight for shaker cards. But then I found this at my stationery store, and they are actually clear binding covers. They're fabulously thick, yet so clear. You get I got 100 of them, but they are pricey. I got 100 pieces of these. I think it was $68. But I mean, it will take you through a lifetime to use this up. And this is just used for office papers. If they, want to do projects, it is a beautiful weight. And I wanted to show you that if you're ever in your stationery store, you can get them less than 100. You don't have to get it at 100, but you get a better deal if you get more, like everything else, right? Because I'm going to do a sentiment on the acetate, I'm using the Memory Box Merry Christmas. It's a huge, beautiful die sentiment. It has the two doves on it. I use it quite a bit. I think I used it not too long ago on a card. And if you're going to use this on acetate, you need to take a piece of your foil and put the die on the top, and then look how easy this comes out. And then you want to peel off, there's a film on top, a plastic film. You want to peel that off of the main foil, and it just comes apart so easily. I just love this die. For some reason, it's never given me any problem, but I still run them through with a dryer sheet before I use them. Not every time you use them, just as soon as you get your die, run it through with a dryer sheet, take it out, and it will last for a long time and not stick the paper inside. Then you want to take it and you want to put it on the opposite side. So turn your foil over and put the die on the back of the white paper. And then you'll have a piece for the front and you'll have a piece for the back, so that when you see the acetate on either side, you're going to have, there it is there. Isn't it gorgeous? I kind of sped this up. It was kind of hard to see. Sorry about that, but it's a Memory Box die. So you need to cut one out on one side of the foil and then put your die on the white side. Turn the die over, and that way you'll have the beautiful foil on the front and on the back. Now my card ends up being 5 3/4 by 7.5. So I added some extra to the top part so that I could score it and have a little 1/16 of an eighth gusset. The reason why I want to tell you that is wonderful when you use acetate is to have a gusset that gives you a little bit of room when you fold it. Because I find if you have a thick acetate like this is, and the reason why I like these binding cover acetate pieces is it will take to a heat gun, and you'll be able to put embossing powder on this, and I'll show you at the end how I do that, and keep it so that it's nice and straight and it doesn't warp. But when I make my acetate cards, I really do love to have a gusset, and I like to make my own size. So what you would do is I would have I'm showing you here, I have a 1/4 of an inch that I will take my Martha Stewart score tool here, and you want to do it really well. Get that fold right in there because it'll be easy to take your bone folder and crease it well, but then put it back and add just one line over. Just take one line over, which I think is a 1/16 of an inch. And this will give you that tiny little gusset for the fold on acetate. And there's so many wonderful ways to use acetate as your base and make beautiful cards out of it. And this double sentiment is a lovely way. It's clean, it's simple, it doesn't take hardly any time at all. And honestly, acetate is easy to work with once you get the hang of it. So here I have the first crease, and then I have the next little gusset. So I'm going to fold the first one in. So this is the first one we scored at a 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to take the gusset and grab the fold, and I'm going to actually take my bone folder and work that. So see how I have that nice fold, and that crease is really prominent on the acetate card. Then you want to take some tape, and as much tape as you can. See how I put that little, I don't even think it's 1/4 of an inch. I think it's smaller than that. And then I take it off, and then I add another one so that that whole 1/4 inch piece there has tape on it. Because when I put my next piece on, it will hold really well. And then you have that tiny little gusset that is absolutely wonderful for opening and closing your acetate card. I like this better than just folding acetate in half. I've done it both ways, and this one works exceptionally well for me. You don't have to worry whether you get it even on the bottom right now. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my brush that I always put my baby powder on, and there's enough baby powder up in the brush because I don't want to put that baby powder on right now. I just want to put enough of it so I'm not getting all that static electricity. And then I'm going to really be careful to put this in straight, but you can always cut this with your, I have the Fiskars large cutter that's a self cutter, and it just cuts it like butter, even when you have the gusset there. Or you can take the large scissors, the red handle ones there by Tim Holtz. They have the long blade. I was going to actually do it like this too. See, I was going to have it as the Mary being up in the air. And then with putting the one on the back, it would be a beautiful floating sentiment card as well. I wanted to show you that, so I kept it there. But the reason why I chose not to do it is I wanted to cover up the tape. And I thought, wow, what better way? Yeah, you can always see when I'm tapping my finger, I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? Well, lace. Look at this beautiful lace. I got this on eBay, and I love it. I bought it to have it for a bracelet, actually, for my beading. And I thought, look at that. It covers the line. It's beautifully Victorian. Then you have that gorgeous foil in the middle, and it's large enough because it's 5 3/4 inches. And then I'm just going to add, I'm going to cut it off so I have a little bit of space on here to work with, because I'm going to use the clear Tombow Mono Multi Glue to glue this on. And because it's clear, you're not going to see it, excuse me, on either side. The front of this card looks exactly like the back when you turn it over. It is gorgeous. I think even though it's simplistic, all you have are three elements really. You have the two pieces of lace, and then you have your die cut. And you want to make the die cut so that you have one in the front and one in the back. And the way you do that is on the second piece you reverse it. Put your die on the opposite side. That way when you glue them together you have the foil on each side. I think it's stunning. So I cut the bottom off to be exactly like the top portion because I don't want to keep the sides, right? I don't want to keep the two end pieces. I want it to end where the actual lines are there, but I do cut it in. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I thought, just like that, I think it is a beautiful card, and you really can make it A2 size card if your sentiment is smaller. You could do it with any die cut and it would look gorgeous. Um, so I chose to, like I love the bigger size card, so it is 5 3/4 by 7.5. And what I like about acetate is if you glue it and any of the glue is showing through because you've had to move the die or move your lace, you wash it up. You can use an alcohol wipe. I buy the little packages at my pharmacy. You get a box of 100 of the little alcohol wipes. You can use that and it will wipe up the glue but yet keep your sentiment there. I'll show it to you in a little bit. And then if you stamp something and you don't like it, like we're going to do later, you just wipe it off with either a baby wipe or an alcohol wipe and it's gone. Acetate is so very forgiving. It is a wonderful, wonderful medium to work with. I absolutely love it. I think it looks very elegant. And if you get this binding cover, thick, thick acetate, you can emboss on it, which is wonderful. Here I'm putting this down with the Tombow Mono Multi Clear, and I'm measuring it with my wonderful T-square ruler because when you're working with acetate it can be off and you want to make sure that you measure it out on each side, and the T ruler is wonderful for that. And on the sentiment you use, you can use either clear glue or the white multi glue. I used the white here because it was easier to dot, because I am going to put this on the front portion of the acetate. Then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to put the other piece that I cut on the opposite side so that it would look nice from the front and the back, and you would see the foil on each side, and it worked out perfectly. And I'm going to show you how easy it is if you make a mistake or glue gets on the acetate. All you do is take alcohol wipes. I get them at the pharmacy. I get 100 pack of little packages you rip open, and I had to take it off right here. And if you did this on a card, you would ruin it on paper. You couldn't wipe it off. But look at this. I had the little square of the alcohol wipe, and I went over it. Then I take a paper towel to dry it. It's almost dry in itself because it is an alcohol wipe. And I go over it, and then I can start over. And then you can pat the alcohol wipe on the actual project if any glue is showing through, and that will make your acetate look nice and clean. Then I'm just going to have my sentiment. I've already glued the front and the back on the inside, and I had these wonderful little snowflake stamps. I don't know who made them. They're very old. They're kind of vintage looking. So I used the Encore Silver because I find the Encore inks work really well. They're a drier ink, so it won't spread on the acetate, because if you move your block, your acrylic block, right there it is, this in the silver, it will smudge. We all know that because it is plastic, right? But the Encore ink has a stickiness that keeps it in place. So I've turned this over. As you can see, my card is on the back of it. This is the back of the card folded. And I lift it off and look at the clean, clear image. You can see the Merry Christmas is backwards because I'm working on the back of the acetate, not on the inside. Then I take some clear embossing powder and go over it because I've already put the little bit of baby powder on there to repel any of the static. And I'm sorry I'm working with it up there, but I take a little thin paintbrush and I work it in to get just a little bit of dust of embossing powder that gets, down in the corners there. And then I am going to heat set it. And the fabulous thing about a thicker acetate, it will take to the heat set. So here I am just taking off a little bit of strays. I love the fact that it's on the back of the card that we're going to work, and I'm just taking all of the little dots off. And then make sure your heat tool is really hot because you're just going to pass it that quick. Pass it and then stop. Pass it and then stop. And then the silver with the clear embossing powder will be beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And then you open it up. If you get any warping, I did get some warping, open it up and then heat set it quickly on the inside, and it straightens your card up right away. After you heat set it on each side and take the warping out, it looks gorgeous. Look at that. And I love that the snowflakes are on the back. Nothing is on the inside. And then I turned it around, the Merry Christmas, and I put the other foil on top of it so that when you turn it around in the back, the front looks identical to the back when you have your foiling done on the sentiment for each side. I added some diamond bling to the lace, and I'm really happy with this double sentiment card, one on the front and one attached to the back. So the front of the card looks identical to the back. It's easy peasy. Have a blessed week, everybody, and I will see you on the next tutorial. And thank you for subscribing and for your comments. Take care, everybody.